I have a very unpopular opinion in the normal construction contractor world, and that is you shouldn't spend your money, you shouldn't use your resources in ways that are not going to appreciably increase and improve the amount and type of work you're able to accomplish, because it's the work that you're paid to produce. So let me drill down on exactly what I'm thinking of right now in this dichotomy between the money I have, the money that's coming in, the value that my contracting business has, how I want to appear to the world, and what kind of work do I want to be able to produce. That's kind of what it boils down to when you're getting your construction business started. So the first thing is you have to have a realistic understanding of how thin your money's going to spread when you try to actually start and run a business. It's going to spread thin, and you're going to be tempted to use leverage to solve the cash shortages. Be careful. And the first place you need to be careful is, do I have to have a truck payment? My answer to that question is, no, you don't. Now, your response to that might be, yeah, but I want to have a nice truck. Your truck only needs to be nice enough to get you back and forth to the job, haul your tools, be reasonably dependable, and communicate to your prospective clients and your subcontractors that I'm competent. That's how nice your truck needs to be. Anything beyond that is vanity or marketing, and these things are related. One is less important and one is more important. I had an accountant in Las Vegas. I lived there for 8 years, worked construction. What an experience, what an education, what a grind that town can be. But I had a tax man who said, Scott, no one has any business owning a new car unless they make at least $50,000 a year. Well, that was a long time ago, so I'm going to assert that no contractor has any business buying a brand new truck unless he's making at least, what, $125,000 a year? Now, the cost-benefit analysis becomes, if I don't buy the truck, what can I do with my money that'll make me more money? Well, the first answer to that question for me is, buy a piece of equipment. Now, you're looking at a guy who drives a 1998 model Ford F-350 flatbed work tool tank. It's the best tool truck on the planet for a contractor, in my opinion. But it's old, and I spend money to keep it going and keep it reliable. But I just 2 years ago bought a brand new Kubota excavator, a little 40 series, and man, that has just pushed forward the amount and types of work that I can do. I probably should have done that earlier. So I'm not saying don't buy new things. I'm saying think carefully about how much you're spending on appearance and your expectations of looking like a hero compared to building your infrastructure so you can do your work. Do you realize, I'm going to assume you realize, that as soon as you buy a new truck or car and drive it off the lot, you lose 20% of the value in depreciation? Now, I'm not sure what the pandemic did to relative values of used trucks. I mean, they spiked for a while, so it may have been in the short term different, but in the long run, trucks lose so much value as soon as you take ownership. If you need a late model truck, by all means buy a late model truck, but let somebody else take the depreciation. I don't care how shiny it is. I don't care how big your logo is or how big your tires are, as long as you don't make the stupid move of putting new wheels and tires on a credit card. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. You need tires that are good enough to get you back and forth to the job. Now, sometime if you have a windfall and at the end of the year you realize you need to spend some money to get a tax deduction, okay, buy the wheels and tires and call them, part of your capital improvement if you can, a vehicle expense if it makes tax sense. But don't confuse wheels and tires with good business. Keep track of what is actually going to move your business forward. And nothing moves your business forward quite as well as money in the bank. And so if you're compromising money in the bank for chrome on the road, that's an inherently bad choice. Now let me back up. You may have a clientele, you may have a construction niche where if you don't look pro, if you don't look competitive with the big boys, you think you're not going to get the work? Okay. But chrome won't get you home. And so you have to be very careful about how you apportion, particularly when you're starting out. If you burden yourself with having apportioned too much of the small amount of money you have to your appearance, somebody else is going to own that truck pretty soon, and you're going to be back working at Home Depot or for another contractor thinking, man, those payments are what sunk me when the market turned down and I couldn't maintain the workflow that I could maintain in the good times. That introduces the conversation about the deception of construction, that when work is booming, everybody assumes it's always going to boom, and it doesn't matter what their debt structure is. That's a trap. It's probably the reason that 80% of contractors fail in the first 5 years. Is because to begin with, you've got all your uncles and aunts and friends and neighbors that have told you that you can build decks and carports and garages and additions for them. And when you get to the end of that, you're confronted with the reality of having to market and embrace a clientele of people that are not related to you. So for this reason, be careful about the debt you take on. And not just the new trucks, but that includes the new toy haulers and the new side-by-sides and the new dune buggies and the new campers and the new fifth wheels. We live in a culture where it's easy to get new because consumer debt is effortless to get burdened with and so hard to get rid of. I recommend you listen to Dave Ramsey. His mantra is, debt is dumb, and the paid off house is the new status symbol replacing the BMW or whatever it was. I don't get his tagline right, but he's right. Debt is dumb, and especially debt for chrome. Now maybe you grew up in a household where you learned to wax the car every weekend. Maybe you learned that the appearance of your automobile is a reflection of your integrity and your value as a human being. Okay, in some ways. I mean, OCD is a valuable character trait. I don't have much of it, as you can see in the background of this shot. But we confused our automobiles with who we are, and we confuse our automobiles with what other people think of us. If you're judged by your automobile by some group of individuals, those individuals don't matter. They just don't matter. And so let's think long and hard about reliability and serviceability before we start thinking about curb appeal. Can we do that? No, it's hard. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't reward yourself. That's not to say that you shouldn't have out there as a goal a particular vehicle or fleet of vehicles. What I'm talking about from the perspective of a small contractor, where it's my truck and the one truck that my guy drives around in, can extend to bigger businesses where they are making fleet purchases. And I don't have enough first-hand information on that to render any kind of an opinion, except to say that even in a world where capital investment yields tax benefits, man, it's still smart to let somebody else take the depreciation. So you can let cooler heads prevail there, and you can get advice from your CPA. And by the way, if you're starting out in construction, you need an accountant. Please find a way to hire an accountant instead of trying to handle all your own books, or making a mistake I made of pushing it off on my good wife, who was not an accountant and who struggled. The upshot of this is we can't run faster than we have strength for long. And so if you commit the aspects of your life that are not fundamental to providing your living, if you commit to those a big enough chunk of your annual or monthly or daily, but let's talk annual income, you're doomed. You'll be done before you even learn the tricks and procedures and pricing and billing methods that can ensure you're survivable, that can ensure that you can succeed. You can sink yourself in the first decisions you make if you think the first decisions are decisions that hinge on appearance. So think twice, think 3 times. Get some good advice before you take that plunge, and concentrate instead on becoming as versatile, as competitive, as wise, as in demand as you could possibly be. Find the right clients, do good work, play fair, prosper, and then worry about a new truck. Thank you for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.